Hello everybody. Hello YouTube. Hello art history enthusiasts and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I'm back with another video. This time continuing with my Hunter Biden art review series, his fall 2021 exhibition at the Georges Berges Gallery in New York City. And here we are again at his page at the gallery's website. There he is, just staring at us like that with those shades on his head. If you remember from the last Hunter video I did, let me check, which one was that? Yeah, this one, the Hunter Biden review series, part 3. And in that last one, I reviewed the work titled Untitled #1. And that was the last in my, what I called my self-portrait, well, not my self-portrait, but Hunter's self-portrait series, works that I have identified as either direct or indirect self-portraits. One of them he calls self-portrait, and I talked about that one. Let me click on videos here. I talked about that one here. Hunter Biden Review Series, that was part 2, self-portrait. And then last time it was part 3, Untitled #1. The first what I designated as a self-portrait was Bluebird and Coyote, and that was part 1 of this entire series. So today, what that should tell you is that today we're doing part 4. Today is part 4. And today, for part 4, we are doing, where is it? No, not that one. This one, Untitled, on YUPO, number 52. And if you remember, I did a discussion of YUPO paper in one of these videos. If you've been keeping track and if you've been watching all of my Hunter Biden series videos, YUPO paper seems very important to him. It's been mentioned in several articles, and as you can see in the description of the work, it tells you not just what kind of paint he's using. No, it tells you also the surface that he's using. If he's using just regular paper or a canvas or YUPO. He wants you to know for certain works. He wants you to know. He wants you to be aware that he's working on YUPO. And for the one that we're talking about today, yes, he wants you to know that he's working on YUPO. It's Untitled. It's number 52. So these are a series, right? They're a numbered Untitled series on YUPO. And so I think this is what I think he's doing. Okay. There's Untitled. There's the Untitled series of Hunter's works. And then there's the Untitled on YUPO. And those are not the same thing. It's not like Untitled and Untitled on YUPO are all in the same series or numbered in the same series because they're untitled. No. There's 2 different Untitled categories. There's Untitled and Untitled on YUPO. So that's what I believe that's what's going on. If you have other information, if that's not what's going on, if that's just my mind playing tricks on me, let me know. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, so Untitled on YUPO number 52. So that should tell us, in one of those articles it said, oh, he's got hundreds of paintings. Hundreds. That I need to find that article again. I need to find that article again and bring it back up maybe in the next video when I do the next one of these videos in my series. That article, I was able to read it over and over and over and over again. That New York Times article that I used to discuss both the YUPO paper and the way he blows air onto his surfaces with a straw. And there's some more really, really interesting tidbits about the art in that article. And for a while, I could read it over and over and over again for free. That article wasn't behind a paywall. And the last time I checked it, Well, wouldn't you know? It's behind a paywall now. Is that my fault? Did they catch on to me? I don't know. And I hope they don't. Yeah, like anybody's watching these. But, here we are again, Untitled on YUPO number 52. Mixed media. Okay, so he's doing mixed media, whatever that means. This is a combination of different paints and whatever other materials he's placing on this YUPO surface. And the measurements, I always say the measurements, 61 inches by 29.5 inches, so 61. 60 inches is 5 feet. Okay, I think it's 5 feet. Yeah, 12 times 5, yeah, 60. All right, so 60, that's 5 feet, 1 inch this away. And let me actually open up a tab. So yeah, so it's 5 feet and 1 inch in height. And what was it? 29.5 inches in width. So 24 inches is 2 feet. So 5.5 inches in addition to 2 feet wide. Okay, so let me enlarge it. Let's look. Let's really look, huh? And that's what people do with art. And I do it too. Everybody does it. You walk by something, and even if you do find it pleasing visually, you just pass it by, and you don't pay very much attention to it. Okay? You don't look at it closely. You don't look at it deeply. And you certainly don't analyze it. You know, if you go to a gallery, or if you go to an art museum, or you're looking at a book, or a website, or whatever, you maybe look at the art, but you don't, stop and think about it for an extended or a significant amount of time. You just kind of, maybe you admire its beauty, if you do in fact find it beautiful, and then you just keep it moving, right? You just go on to the next painting, or you go about your business, and that's that. Well, that's not what we're doing here, right? That's why I enlarged this thing, maybe even a little bit more. There it is. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out again, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to look at this a little bit more closely. Look at the round parts, right? I could really zoom in, right? That's the beauty of the internet and these images and whatever. Look at these bubbles. I'll call them bubbles. Look at the detail. Look at the little dots. Look at the swatches or patches of color. Did he do this with his straw technique? These bubbles. And I'm calling them bubbles for a reason, because in this particular painting, I do believe that they're meant to look like, they're meant to resemble actual bubbles that come from water or are in water. Air. Remember what we talked about? Breathing air into the paintings and what that means as far as the creation of narratives or discussing. Maybe he's using his paintings as an opportunity to discuss meta-narratives or comparative mythology, which is stories, narratives. Sometimes narratives, again, like a layer cake stacked on top of one another. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what you're looking at or what you're listening to, or what the origin is of what you're looking at or what you're listening to or reading or whatever. So here is definitely the element of air and water. So it's a depiction of water, but he's using air to create this depiction of water. And again, I'm scrolling slowly so you can get a good look at all of these little details and what he did and how he did it. And remember, he puts What did the, oh, again, next time I'm going to find that article. I'm going to use that as our, the Georges Berges website. I said this is our base camp. I'm going to use that article if I can find it and show it on the screen. If it's not behind a paywall, that'll be our secondary base camp, right? So just looking at this, look at all of these little details. Are all of these little details significant? Are all of them important? Is it worth it to kind of focus on all of these little details, to concentrate on them, to get a really good idea of what you're looking at in this painting? My answer is I don't know. I can't know right away. He could be doing an extremely detailed use of symbolism or iconography. I talked about that in one of my videos. If you haven't looked at it already, check it out. The one where I have the black and white picture of Chris Lee. It's titled Iconography. Is it a sign? Check out that video and what I have to say about that. And are all these, let me zoom in again just so you have a better idea of what I'm saying. Are all of these little details, like these little dots and colors and, again, these different patches of color and these different designs. For example, this. Look at this. Look at this. Let me zoom in, because I know it's not the sharpest picture, but you can still see what I'm talking about. This creature, it seems like some kind of sea creature with these tentacles. I don't think it's an octopus, because an octopus only has 8 tentacles. This has, I'm thinking, more than 8. Is it a jellyfish? What's going on? And you can barely tell it's there, can you? Look. Whatever creature this is, whatever is this, I assume it's a sea creature. I have my reasoning for that. Excuse me. What's going on? Why is it there? And why is it kind of hidden? When I say kind of hidden, see, I had to zoom in. Let me do this again. See, when I zoom out, you can maybe notice that there are little lines through these blue circles on the back of this main creature that takes up most of the painting, but you can't tell from far away. Let me zoom in again. Now you can tell a little better, but you can only tell because I just pointed it out to you. And then you zoom in and you're like, oh, wait, what is this? That's the question I asked. What is this? And not just what is this, but why is it there? Is this... Gosh, it's not an octopus. Is it a jellyfish? Is it a... What's the other word for jellyfish? Medusa or something like that. And if it's there, but if it's there, it's barely noticeable when you zoom out. And even when you can notice it when you zoom in, it's like, what is it? Is it some kind of parasite? It's obvious, well, maybe not obviously, but I think it's kind of attached. It's affixed itself to this structure that's part of this creature. Again, the main focus of this painting. What's going on? And are there any more things like that in the painting? Again, I scrolled up and down on the zoomed in version. Is there any more stuff that I missed? Because, wait, let me look at this. This is now catching my attention. No, it seems okay. Seems okay. Seems pretty, innocent. Is that the right word? I don't know. But let me zoom out again. Look at it. Like I said, most of the time, you don't have the opportunity to stare at a work of art and ask questions like this and analyze and think about it deeply. And, let's just face it, in our daily lives, even somebody like me, and I'm really into art and I really like it a lot, but even in my daily life, I don't talk about it every day or with everyone. No. So that's why I enjoy this channel so much. I get to, yeah, it's a one-sided discussion. It's just me talking to myself. Or I'm hoping somebody else is listening. But, you know, you don't talk about this every day. You don't talk about it with everyone. And that's why I'm enjoying this channel. I get to talk about this, period. I get to talk about it, period. But anyway, going back to this little parasitic jellyfish thingy that is barely noticeable. He's made it this almost exactly the same color as the background of this part of this creature, this white. It's not the same shade of white, because if it was the same shade of white, you wouldn't be able to pick it out. So it's maybe one shade darker than the white background that it's up on, right? What does it mean? Does it mean anything? I mentioned air, breathing air into it, speaking this into existence, you know, kind of like a god. The idea of water bubbles, and then this whole thing, the focus of it, the main character here, right? I think it's a seahorse. Personally, I believe, in my opinion. I call it his seahorse painting because that's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong, right? I could be totally wrong. But we must keep in mind that whatever he's doing in this series, he is commenting on mythology. And like I said, meta-narratives, monomyths, Joseph Campbell, don't forget Joseph Campbell. Don't forget comparative mythology, comparative religion. That's what's going on here. So he's talking about the creation of myths, how that even happens, and how it is perpetuated. And how this is cross-cultural. In the last video, I talked about, in this one, part 3, Untitled number 1, I talked about how, you know, he brings Japan and China into whatever he's doing in these paintings, in these works of art. He's talking about Japan, and I believe, in my opinion, I could be totally wrong, and I'm aware of that, but these are my opinions that I'm putting forth. If he's talking about Japan and China, in, for example, this one, part 3 of my series, where I discuss Untitled number 1, right? What is he talking about here? Is China here again? Possibly. Maybe. Perhaps. But I'm not sure. Okay, what is here? I said it's a seahorse. To me, it looks like a seahorse. And once again, I could be wrong. It's obviously a stylized seahorse. It's not mimicking an actual one. A faithful reproduction of an actual, real, honest-to-goodness seahorse. No, it's, that I don't think their tails look like this. For example, this twisty-turny thing down here. But, so I looked up seahorse, right? And this is what I got. This is what I found. Wikipedia. And I said, didn't just look up seahorse, but I looked up seahorse in mythology. And this is what I came up with. Hippocampus. Hippocampus. In mythology. Hippocampus, or hippocamp. Also, hippocampus, plural, hippocampi, or hippocamps, ancient Greek. Okay. Sea monster. Oh, sea monster. Often called a seahorse in English, is a mythological creature shared by Phoenician, Etruscan, Pictish, Roman, and Greek mythology, though its name has Greek origin. The hippocampus has typically been depicted as having the upper body of a horse and the lower body of a fish. Well, isn't that interesting? Right? Isn't that interesting? So, it's like a composite animal. But they do really exist. There really is such a thing as seahorses. Right? Should I click on that one? Where is it? Do they have a link to Seahorse? No, they don't. Well, what do you know? Okay, so I can't even click on it. That's okay. But we all know what a seahorse looks like. We know they really exist in the ocean. And we have a really good idea of what they look like. Now, I'm gonna look at this. Greek and Roman, okay? Greek and Roman. I want to look at this for a second. This bell crater. Terracotta bell crater. I'm not sure. It's from the late 5th century BC. So I would assume this is Greek. But, take a look at it. A crater is just a vessel, sometimes with a lid, sometimes with no lid. They're all very old. And they're painted with symbols and or images depicting mythological stories. And we have this here. This one. Terracotta bell crater. Mixing bowl. Oh, it's a mixing bowl. Okay, all right. With a lid. And this main feature on it, the decoration, is a seahorse or hippocampus. There's one down here. Roman mosaic in the Thermae at Aquae Sulis. It's a bath. So Thermae would probably be the hot part of the baths, like a sauna or something similar. Poseidon. They mentioned Poseidon. Right. This is the separate kind of page for that picture for the bell crater. All right, with the lid. This is interesting. All right. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. So Hippocamp redirects to this page for the moon of Neptune. See Hippocamp Moon. There's a moon of Neptune named Hippocamp. Disambiguation of the word hippocampus. Wait a minute. Hippocampus, an anatomical subdivision of the brain. So named for its physical resemblance to a seahorse. Well, isn't that something? Now, do they have... Oh, okay, cool. Yes, they have. I'm going to have to put all of these links in the description, so every time I click a link, I'm giving myself a little extra work to do. But that's okay. Hippocampus fish, the seahorse genus. I told you. Okay, I'm going to open that too. Hippocamp Moon. I might as well. Why not? So here we are. Hippocampus Hypocampus. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Via Latin from Greek, as many of our words are, for seahorse, is a major component of the brain of humans and other vertebrates. Humans and other mammals have 2 hippocampi, one on each side of the brain. The hippocampus is part of the limbic system and plays important roles in the consolidation of information from short-term memory to long-term memory, and in spatial memory that enables navigation. So no wonder it's associated with Poseidon or Neptune. The hippocampus is located in the allocortex with neural projections into the neocortex in humans as well as primates. The hippocampus, as the medial pallium, is a structure found in all vertebrates. In humans, it contains 2 main interlocking parts: the hippocampus proper, also called Ammon's horn, and the dentate gyrus. Okay, that's enough of that. But now you get an idea. So this part of the brain is called what it's called because it resembles, oh, wait a minute, this creature, the seahorse. From ancient Greek. Again, hippos meaning horse and campos meaning sea monster. They had a couple of different names for sea monsters back then, but I'll I don't know if I'll talk about that here. And there's a couple different kinds. It's not like there's only one kind of seahorse in all of the oceans on planet Earth. No, there's different kinds. You know, pipe fishes, sea dragons. Oh my. I just don't have the time to go into all of those. But you know, this is something worth looking at if you're interested in this area. If you're into biology or zoology or whatever, I'm definitely going to leave this link in the description for you to look at. So just something to think about. What else? Hippocamp Moon, also designated Neptune 14, is a small moon of Neptune discovered on the 1st of July 2013. Well, that's interesting. It's so dim that it was not observed when the Voyager 2 space probe flew by Neptune and its moons in 1989. It is about 35 kilometers or 20 miles in diameter and orbits Neptune in about 23 hours, just under 1 Earth day, due to its unusually close distance to Neptune's largest inner moon, Proteus. It has been hypothesized that Hippocamp may have accreted from material ejected by an impact on Proteus several billion years ago. Well, that's interesting. If you're into astronomy, that is interesting. I'm not really into astronomy, but I clicked on the link anyway. This I'm into. Okay, mythology. This is why we're here. Poseidon. Now, this is not one of the links that was available to click on from the hippocampus, the main hippocampus, or the disambiguation of the word hippocampus. No, this is Poseidon. Okay. All right. Poseidon was one of 12 Olympians in ancient Greek religion and myth, god of the sea, storms, earthquakes, and horses. Well. In pre-Olympian Bronze Age Greece, he was venerated as a chief deity at Pylos and Thebes. He also had the cult title Earthshaker. Well, that's interesting. In the myths of isolated Arcadia, he is related with Demeter and Persephone, and he was venerated as a horse. However, it seems that he was originally a god of the waters. He is often regarded as the tamer or father of horses, and with a strike of his trident he created springs, which are related with the word horse. His Roman equivalent is Neptune. So there he is in all of his glory, member of the 12 Olympians. Okay. One thing that I forgot to tell you. Wait a minute, where is it? Disambiguation. The brain thing. That part of the brain, the hippocampus. It deteriorates. We talked about how it has to do with memory. Long-term, short-term, what have you. But also this is the part of the brain that deteriorates if somebody has Alzheimer's. Please keep that in mind when you look at this. Okay? Human, it's got to do with memory, deteriorates with Alzheimer's. It's associated with this guy, Poseidon, Greek god of storms, earthquakes, horses, and the sea. Now, when you think about it, all of these gods, at least the Greek ones, they were always kind of up to something. When you read these stories, they were always kind of up to no good. And Poseidon, he's, pretty excitable character. He was very quick to anger, at least from what I can understand. And he's, as you can see here, I just read it to you. He's associated very closely with horses, and he's associated pretty closely with war. Okay. Storms, earthquakes, horses, the sea. Horses themselves. So Poseidon is associated with horses. Horses are associated with war. They've always been associated with war. Since pretty much, I don't want to say day one, maybe not day one, like but right when human beings kind of got involved, at whatever point that was, I can't say for certain because I'm not an expert in that field, but ever since, it seems to me, ever since we've been seeing horses in art, ancient art, maybe even prehistoric art, possibly, right on through to the modern day, they've been associated with war. And riding and knowing how to control a horse, again, ever since the ancient world, knowing how to control a horse, being a good equestrian, has been associated with leadership skills. Not saying that all of that is what's going on here, but I am saying that it's good to be aware of stuff like that. So, what is going on? We've got the air bubbles. He's letting us know, kind of through the bubbles, that we're dealing with water. This creature is, what else are you supposed to think when you look at it? That it's a seahorse. We saw, where are they? Oh, there we are. They seem to, kind of float like this in an upright position. Right? This one here. This kind of funky looking one. They kind of have this look to them, just as Hunter has depicted them here. We've got that parasitic little jellyfish looking thing stuck on the back fin of this. Do seahorses even have fins? See what I mean? I judging by Wikipedia, no. I don't think they have fins, but what do I know? And what does Wikipedia know? Maybe they're not perfect either. I don't know. It seems to be all of this put together, right? The fact that look at what we just did. Before I get to what I want to say about something else with this painting, look at what we just went through. I said, when I did my search, I said seahorse. I want to know seahorse, and I want to know seahorse with regard to mythology, because that's what Hunter is doing. Okay? He's doing this mythology thing, or comparative mythology, or meta-narratives, or, comparative religion, whatever. And I said, show me Google, let's go. Show me seahorses and mythology. This is what came up. And then I read through this, and I said, okay, cool. All right. But then let me just look at this word on its own, hippocampus, disambiguation. And there it is. And there's science, media, mythology, music. Okay. It led me to the part of the brain that is associated with memory. It's named that because it looks like a seahorse, and it deteriorates with Alzheimer's. Okay. Then we get the animal. Of course we do. So we know that an animal that looks very similar to this exists in the world. Then we have, it's a moon of Neptune. Well, that's interesting. Poseidon is also called Neptune in the Roman mythology. And whoever names these things named a moon after a creature that is associated with a Poseidon/Neptune. Okay, great. Now we go on to the mythological figure, Poseidon himself, who is associated with horses and the sea. Oof. All right. Cool. So what I'm saying is, yes, where am I? I looked this up. I can just go ahead and click out of this one. But I looked this up and it led me to all of these other things. Did Hunter have that in mind? When he painted this, did he hope that people would do what I did? Get on Google, search, look at Wikipedia, look at all the articles that have to do with seahorse or its, Greek name, Hippocampus? I don't know, but wouldn't be surprised if he expected his viewer to do a little research. All right. Now, I said I was going to say something else. Look at him, the seahorse. I talked about the bubbles. I talked about the weird kind of designs throughout it. I talked about, no, they don't have tails like this. None that I've seen. They don't have back fins like this. None that I've seen. This one seems to have a parasitic thing attached to it, like a little, I don't know, squiggly thing with tentacles. Possibly a jellyfish, medusa, whatever. Or just a parasite of some kind. And this thing looks like it's breathing fire. Look at this. That looks like a flame to me. It looks like it's exhaling smoke or fire. Maybe it's a sea dragon. That's when I said, oh, are we dealing with China again? Because the dragon is very prominent in their cultural art, mythology, whatever. Again, we're doing comparative myth, comparative mythology, etc. Dragons, seahorses, and whatever else. They were and still are considered mythical creatures. And these myths can be found all over planet Earth. You can find them in, again, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Christianity. Yeah, Christianity. But that's when we get into language. So it's said here, oh gosh, can I find it again? Oh, it was here. Did it say monster? Sea monster? Yeah, there it is. Thank you. So I'll highlight it for you. Hippos, horse, campos, sea monster. Okay. So like I said, there's a lot of these. Campos is a word for sea monster. Another word for sea monster or sea serpent is the word keto. Keto, which is, it as a diet. Yeah. Like that low carb, high fat diet. That's the ketogenic diet. Keto for short. Keto in Greek means whale. At least in the modern Greek, it means whale. In ancient Greek, it meant sea serpent. And why am I saying that? Because that's the word used in the Greek version of the Bible when they talk about the story of Jonah and the whale. So when Jonah was stuck in the whale's belly for 3 days, he was stuck in a sea serpent's belly. That was the definition of the word keto in ancient Greek. Now, we could talk about stuff like prefiguration and what have you, but I don't know if that would fit in here. Or maybe it would. I don't know. I don't know how deeply he wants to take this. So I don't know how deeply I should take this. I guess suffice it to say that this guy over here. He's really very deeply aware of all of these different subjects. Where's my disambiguation page? Science, media, mythology, music. Good heavens. Music. Oh, it's a rock band. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But he's aware of this stuff. I told you, this guy, whatever you think of him, or whatever you want to think of him, he's got a heck of an education. He's aware of this he probably learned this mythology and mythological stuff. He probably learned this in school. And if not college, again, people forget several things about Hunter. He's a lawyer. He has that education. And I don't know what kind of education or what he studied as an undergrad or as a younger person in high school or whatever, but he's got one heck of an education, and people always forget that about him. Probably because all of that is overshadowed by that thing that I won't talk about, the scandal. You're not dealing with some dumb guy. You're dealing with somebody who's got a really terrific education. And never mind what you might think of his personal life, and I'm not going to get into that here. Of course, I have my own opinions, but I'm not going to talk about that here. But, no matter what you think about his personal life, he's been everywhere. He's traveled a lot. Maybe that's why he keeps mentioning Japan and China. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it, but these are things to consider. And he seems, at least in this collection of works, they're focused on mythology and looking at mythology, reading mythology, understanding mythology, and it definitely incorporating it into his work, sometimes very blatantly, like this bluebird and coyote painting. And sometimes not so blatantly, because, when you look at this seahorse painting, what is it called again? Untitled, on YUPO number 52. Okay. When you look at this thing, you're like, what? Okay. You might think, oh, how pretty, a seahorse, with all of these pretty colors and designs and decorations and whatever. Or maybe you just don't care about any of that at all. And it doesn't really matter whether you like it or not. What matters is, if you're interested in this kind of thing, if you think that there is something more going on here with all of this, what matters is that, here it is, it exists. And this person that I said, who has a terrific education and a very interesting biography, to say the least, has decided to make art. He's decided to make art, and he's decided to make art that focuses on mythology. Well, what in the world? What in the world? My goodness. So, mythology. And what we saw from the last video I did, if you remember, part 3, I featured that, I don't even know if I could call that a review that person did of his work, that guy. Can't remember his name because he's not, he's forgettable. He just focused on Hunter's personal life, or his perception of Hunter's personal life. Didn't really talk about the art, which kind of annoyed me. But people like that are not ready to look at this in that kind of way. They're not ready to look at this art and say, well, what is Hunter trying to say? Is he trying to say something? Yes, I believe so. Is he trying to say something regarding mythology and how mythology was created and or used? Because just like art, did I say it in this video or another one? I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. Art isn't just there to look pretty. Isn't there just to decorate a space. It has a job to do. It has a job to do. So does mythology. It's a form of art. And he's talking about that. here. Is he talking about the mythology surrounding himself? Does he have a Poseidon-like figure in his life that's close to him? I don't know. I don't know. Something to think about. Something to think about. So, I don't know if I can say very much more about this. I've started the conversation. I hope other people pick it up and think about it critically. Or creatively. Doesn't matter. Critical thinking, creative thinking. They're both good. I mentioned in my last video that I wanted to talk about this article. I saw this, I found this on the art newspaper. It is, when's the date on this thing? 3rd of November, 2021. Again, I'm late, but that's okay. Better late than never. Isn't that what they say? Look at this headline. Look at the title of this article. U.S. President Joseph R. Biden will be remembered as the father of the great artist Hunter Biden, his art dealer says. Oh my. Criticism of the high-profile Hunter Biden exhibition, which has caused controversy for the Biden administration, is also rooted in stigma around addiction, Georges Berges says. Okay. And this is the painting that they use, which is coming up. I'm going to be doing, not in the next video, but the video after the next video, I'll be discussing this painting, the Hockney painting. His art dealer says that that his father will be remembered as that the president, Joseph R. Biden, will be remembered as the father of the great artist Hunter Biden. This is a very bold thing to say on Berger's part. That's a very bold thing to say. I'm going to leave this in the description so you can look at it and think about it. Read it. I don't know what to think. I'm not judging. Hunter didn't say this. No, George said this. If you remember, this reminds me of something. If you, viewer, listener, if you remember Hunter's father, Joe, he has this thing that he says all the time, or very often. He doesn't say, "Hi, I'm Joe Biden." A lot of times he says, "Hi, I'm Jill's husband." And that was kind of a thing people were commenting on, whether positively or negatively, doesn't matter. But they were commenting on it like while he was campaigning back in 2020. He would say, "Hi, I'm Jill's husband." And here's George saying that, he's Jill's husband. No, he didn't say that, but he's saying that he's Hunter's father. So I'm mentioning it because this article mentioned it. If this article hadn't mentioned it and I hadn't found it and I hadn't read this headline and had a good chuckle over this, I would have said, who cares? I wouldn't have even thought of it. But here it is, and it was brought to my attention because I just have to do Google searches and find things to read. And I found this. What in the world? Oh, I'm not going to read this all to you. I've already taken up almost an hour of your time. Okay, I'm reading this first paragraph. Oh, they talk about it. For goodness sake, they talk about it. And I'm not going to, there's the tree painting. We're going to talk about this later in the series. But, listen, I'm gonna leave a link to this. Oh, it looks like they've got more articles. Ooh. Okay, we're gonna look at these later, but I'll leave a description. I'm sorry. I'll leave a link to this in the description. And that's it, I guess, for now. I already announced in my last video that I'm going to do a giveaway within the next couple weeks. So please do keep an eye out for that. I hope to do, a couple of them a month in the future. That after I start it, I hope to do a couple of them every month, and they will be the prizes will be related to whatever it is that I'm talking about in the videos that I do. So please, yeah, like I said, stay tuned for that. Keep an eye out for that. I hope I have managed to spark your interest in this, or lead you on a journey, or help you start out your own with regard to the analysis of art, in particular this art by this guy. And that's it for today. This is the second video I've made tonight, so kind of talked out. But I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for watching. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you feel that it's share worthy. I would love to see your comments. Let me know if you like what I'm doing, if I can improve, tell me how, etc., and so on and so forth. So until next time, until my next video on any subject, until my next video on this subject, I will go ahead and bid you bye-bye. So, bye-bye, everybody.